Welcome to Mind Pixels. Our topic today is something I struggle with on a daily basis: food. Love it or hate it, we all need nutrition, and most of us achieve this through traditional food and drink. But societally, food is so much more than simply human fuel. Eating is a social activity, it's something over which friends and family bond, it's the subject of arguments and controversy, and it can wildly affect the way we look and feel, and therefore how we view ourselves, leading to a whole range of issues surrounding control and body dysmorphia. I struggle with food every day because I'm overweight, and I love unhealthy food. Chips, crisps, sweets, chocolate, ice cream, you name it. I'm in a strange category of being overweight though, as I'm clearly fat. Indeed, my body mass index, or BMI, shows that I'm technically obese. But I'm still of the size at which when I tell people that I'm fat, they reply with, "No, you're not." So firstly, yes, I am. I am fat. As I said, I love unhealthy food, and my willpower to eat healthily is incredibly unreliable. In the space of 5 minutes, I can go from a strong determination to lose weight and become the man I've always wanted to be, to depressed, demotivated, and comforting myself with a tub of Ben & Jerry's, and vice versa. Sometimes I excuse myself. I think everybody has a vice, some smoke, some drink, some shoplift. I just eat too much carbohydrate. But that excuse is never going to help me. I want to look at how society views food. Clearly it's a necessity. A large portion of the world's workforce makes, distributes, sells or serves food. Most of us eat 3 meals a day and snack in between. We eat socially, subjected to overly generous portions so we feel like we're getting our money's worth. We eat when we're bored, we graze on popcorn at the cinema, and you can barely turn on the TV or step into a populated area without food being advertised to you. And it's generally unhealthy food because that's what people crave, that's what can be sold for the highest profits. A 2017 study by the Institute of Economic Affairs showed that we can't even blame our unhealthy diets on our finances. Healthy food is generally cheaper in UK supermarkets than unhealthy food, even though a large portion of us believes that we can't afford a healthy diet. According to this study at least, it seems unhealthy food may just be more appealing and convenient. Even with society's increasing awareness of the importance of good nutrition and the psychology of ads that trick us into consuming more than is necessary, it's still everywhere. In April 2018, the UK government imposed a so-called sugar tax on soft drinks, and in May a group of MPs proposed a ban on cartoon and fictional characters on the packaging of unhealthy food. So perhaps things are changing, and my children will grow up slightly less influenced by Tony the Tiger and the Milky Bar Kid. And yet there's still an expectation that unhealthy food be consumed. Birthdays come with cake, celebrations come with alcohol, romance comes with chocolate, while sadness is said to be solved by the entire spectrum of junk food, whether as a comfort or as self-punishment. After my first girlfriend broke up with me, I was on my way home, and my then stepdad collected me from the train station. He took me to a local bakery and told me to buy a treat for myself to feel better. And that sweet sticky bun did make me feel better in the short term. I won't go into the science, but clearly it triggered chemical reactions within my body that softened my feelings of sadness. It worked. And this is something we learn, and a lot of us still teach our children today. When you're feeling sad, sugar and carbohydrates will make you feel better. So then, we think, why not have it all the time? Then I'll always feel great, right? Now with the rise of social media, there has been a massive increase in what some people are calling food porn. No longer are highly staged mouth-watering pictures of food confined to supermarkets and restaurants. Now networks like Instagram and BuzzFeed are full of pictures, GIFs and full recipe videos of seemingly the most lavish and convoluted dishes ever created. My partner Annie loves to watch quick recipe videos like the ones on Tasty, a website and app from BuzzFeed, and most of the ones she's shown me are incredible. And yet the recipes require so much time and effort that it's hard to imagine ever replicating them at home. Which leads me to believe that the people making these videos spend their entire days concocting recipes and dishes for the sole purpose of being seen in a video, not even being eaten. Of course they do include a wide variety of healthy and unhealthy food, but it all leads to the unhealthy fetishization of food itself. And because society fetishizes both junk food and nutritional health to this extent, we have huge problems with physical self-image, leading to issues such as anorexia and bulimia, and several other types of eating disorder, which can lead to serious harm and even death. I lost a cousin to suicide a couple of years ago. She had been struggling with her thoughts for years, and her symptoms included one such eating disorder. And it's hard to believe that society's obsession with food isn't at least partially to blame. But even those without clinical diagnoses are rarely, if ever, happy with themselves. I've spent my whole life being told I'm too fat, that I eat too much. And I've envied my friends whose metabolisms and personal taste have allowed them to satisfy their strongest cravings while maintaining a healthy-sized physique. And yet, while discussing this with a good friend a few years ago, a friend who's probably never been above a medium in any clothing store, he told me how much he envied my curves. He told me how he has always struggled to put on weight, no matter what he's eaten, and constantly feels too thin. Neither of us felt human-sized, as we put it, but we both would have given an awful lot to wake up as each other, because we've both been brought up to feel like there's something wrong with the way we are. And this societal hypocrisy continues in the media's obsession with celebrities' bodies. You can go into any newsagent and see multiple different magazines and tabloid newspapers fawning over the latest pictures of sunbathing film stars and pop singers, berating them for every inch of their waist, whether they are deemed too large or too small, or simply out of proportion. In one day, a curvy film star will be praised for their confidence and berated for their size. Then if they lose weight, they'll be admired but scolded for not just being true to themselves, until they lose more weight or put it back on and are hampered once again for their size. So if we love food so much, why does society look down on those who enjoy it? Even when I was thinner than I am now, I've been approached in the street by people coming to poke my belly without permission and tell me what a drain on society I am, how badly I'm living my own life. Being subjected to food shaming, whether it's fat shaming or thin shaming, is a horrible experience. And yet it's seemingly getting more prevalent as society becomes more hypocritical, thrusting food into our minds as much as possible, then telling us we're wrong for having it. Commenting on what other people are eating, chastising them for choosing a certain diet, whether it is to change their weight or a moral decision of veganism or similar, or even forcing children to finish everything on their plate is just harmful, and we need to curb this troubling obsession with other people's diets. As I said at the beginning, I'm fat. No matter what people tell me, whether they're being polite or simply in denial, I am. Fat is a fact, not a point of view. And however much I try to convince myself not to, I do dislike myself for it. I've always wanted to lose weight, and I've made some progress at doing so on multiple occasions. But in the long run, I simply keep putting on weight. Annie is similarly unhappy with her body, and we've tried to lose weight both together and separately to no avail. And this dissatisfaction with our physical selves has led us both to a detachment between our minds and our bodies. We both see our bodies as simply the vehicles that carry us, with our real selves simply contained within our minds. And surely this can't be helping, but I would imagine it's a rather common trait among those who dislike how they look and feel in their own skin. I don't have an affirmative conclusion for you today. Like most things I'll be addressing from now on, there is no answer or solution. I could tell you to eat whatever you want, but that will only propagate unhealthy decisions like the ones I'm likely to make later today. I could tell you to ignore the media as it tells you you're not what you should be, while simultaneously trying to sell you sugar and diet books. Or I could tell you to treat food purely as fuel, to use a food substitute drink and never make a decision over your nutrition again. But I don't want to tell you any of that. Society needs an awareness of health and nutrition, of course it does, but we also need to fix our own behaviour, not only regarding what we eat ourselves, but also how we react to one another and the expectations we put on each other to guzzle down birthday cake while maintaining perfect bikini bodies. And until we can address the psychological effects of our own hypocrisy, both in our homes and in the media, we will never fix our obsessive relationship with food. So I guess the only thing I can tell you is to try not to let society's own unhealthy food fixation get you down. And whatever you eat, just try to enjoy it. If you want to discuss this episode or anything related to the podcast, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter at MindPixelsPod, or you can email me at mindpixelspodcast@gmail.com. The show also has a website, mindpixelspodcast.com, where you can find a full transcript of this episode. This is such a wide-ranging issue that I'm sure I'll return to it in the future. If there's anything I've missed out or you'd like to hear more about, do get in touch. To keep up with the podcast, please subscribe and also leave a review, which will help to promote the podcast and spread mental health awareness across the podcast world. Thanks for listening. The music was Perspectives, Thinking Music, Cherry Blossom, Frost Waltz Alternate, and Peace of Mind by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3 license.